You're watching Good Morning Washington.
Well, summer travel season is officially here, and whether you're heading to the beach, maybe you're hitting the road or catching a flight, we know a little planning can go a long way. And here to share his top tips for traveling smarter this summer is the author of How to Avoid Strangers on Airplanes, Brandon Blewett, who has been with us before with really great tips. Brandon, welcome back to Good Morning Washington.
Thanks for having me back.
From Dallas, the busiest hub ever when it comes to air travel. Okay, let's talk about summer travel tips, because we always hear strategy behind this. And I hear rumors of when I should be booking a flight. I need to maybe wait until a certain time and I'll get a better price.
The third Tuesday at 2 a.m.
Yes.
The fares drop.
Exactly. When do we book a flight?
I have friends that work for the airlines. That's a myth. They don't just magically drop fares at 2 o'clock in the morning on random weekdays. I think that there's two ways that you can strategize to book fares more affordably. The first is use a flight aggregator like Google Flights and set your departure airport and your destination airport to metro regions. Because let's say you wanted to go to Disney World. Well, if you wanted to fly out of Reagan and go direct to Orlando, that may be expensive. But if there's a flight from Baltimore to Tampa that's more affordable, and you've got a family, you could save yourself a lot of money that way.
That's really smart.
The other thing I would do is, a lot of the airlines now have, are your dates flexible? Use that feature, because sometimes, especially around a holiday like the 4th of July, if you're actually willing to fly on the 4th and you're willing to fly at times that maybe aren't as desirable, those fares tend to be a little bit lower.
Yeah, and it can make your life less stressful if
Exactly.
you're not with all the crowds anyways.
Yes.
Really great tips. Okay, so when we are flying and we've made it to the airport, we booked our flight, delays happen. Brandon, they do. How do we handle them without just completely spiraling? Like, what are some things we can do in that moment?
Make sure you have your therapist on speed dial.
Yes,
that's part of it. But one thing that I have found is that if you're proactive, you can actually get creative and have some solutions. For instance, last week I was flying between Greenville, South Carolina, Kansas City, had a connection through Dallas, busy airport. The flight was canceled. And what I did was I went to the flight board, saw, hey, where are the American Airlines flights departing to? And then is there a flight between that airport and my final destination? I found it on the app, get really familiar with the app. And then when I went to the gate agent, I was kind, I was proactive, and it was very easy for her to just type and get me rebooked. And that helped keep me from spiraling that I'm not going to get there even though I need to be there for work.
Be proactive.
Yes.
Be proactive and know your app. Be familiar with that technology.
Yes.
Just those things are such game changers when it comes to delays. What are some things, you're an expert traveler, that you do that those who are not usually don't?
I think getting familiar with the app is the first thing,
and
making sure that the app has the push notifications enabled, so that way you are getting all of your real-time information. And I think what I also do is I will look to see maybe where my inbound flight is coming from, because if there's weather patterns, that tends to help you predict. Right.
Yeah.
And I would say in the summer especially, we get summer storms, and it may not impact where you are today, but those early flights out in the morning, those tend to be the most reliable, because any kind of maintenance issues, crew issues have been resolved, and the weather tends to be a little bit better in the mornings.
It doesn't have time to accumulate some of those delays too. Really great tips. Painful to wake up, but you got to do it if you want to get there. Things to pack, Brandon. Is there anything that an expert traveler like yourself might pack to help with some of those situations where you need to be a little more flexible?
You do. I think that what's interesting in the summer is that the airports and airplanes tend to be freezing cold, and in the winter it tends to be the reverse.
Always wrong.
So always always have an extra layer, for those situations. And then one thing that I always try to do is make sure that you have 24 hours worth of clothing, toiletries, batteries in your bag that you can store underneath the seat, because that way, if anything happens with your luggage, you're at least not stranded for more than a day.
That's really smart. To have your phone, those extra little phone chargers, just things that you can survive if you had to go to a hotel, some toothpaste, a little toothbrush. You can pick those things up in the airport. So smart to just get those.
Maybe $10 though.
I know. Bring them if you can. If you don't want to spend an arm and a leg, that's true. In the moment, what do we tell ourselves? You're very calm. Some of us don't have that gift, Brandon, in the moment of stress and the delays. And if they're not traveling as frequently, how do they channel that frequent traveler energy? And what do we tell ourselves in the moment when the stress and the chaos hits?
I think that you have to tell yourself that when you get to the airport, it's going to be great people watching. Put headphones in, pick some music that puts you in a good mood, and then just watch the show. And it's actually really entertaining, because there is something about going through those TSA detectors that they just strip people of all common sense. It's like, where else would you stop in the middle of a sidewalk in the middle of the road? Make a.
We don't know how to do anything anymore in the airport.
So
No.
enjoy the show. Treat it like a movie.
And as you said, I love it. Be prepared. Hey, with your playlist too.
Right.
Be prepared. Have the app. Get comfortable with the directions that can help you in
Yes.
some of those situations. Brandon, you're such a great resource. Where can people find you and follow along?
On X, Brandon in the Air. Same with Instagram, and then my website is brandonblewett.com.
Keeping us calm in the skies as we travel this
Yes.
summer, because we know some of these stressors cannot be avoided. Brandon Blewett, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, perfect. Hey, happy flying for you, and stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.